Ever since Mario shifted into the world of 3D, people from across the world are always excited for the next release year after year. It's honestly amazing how slapping the Z-axis onto a game makes gamers go feral. Making his debut in Super Mario 64 back in 1966, Mario revolutionized the way that games would be played for decades to come, providing gamers with vast open landscapes to run around in and explore. However, with that being said, not all worlds are created equal. Throughout the years, we have seen many different worlds throughout the Mario games. Some of the worlds received the younger sibling treatment, garnering cool areas, challenging puzzles, loads of enemies, and just an all-around fun and interesting environment. Then some worlds get the middle child treatment and are just kind of left to rot and tossed off to the side by both Nintendo and gamers alike. So today, I have taken it upon myself to find the best and the worst world in every single home console 3D Mario game. Quick side note, I'm not going to be including Super Mario All-Stars considering it's literally just ports of 3 of the games. That would just be like comparing 2 identical twins to see who's more attractive. Kicking off the video, we have the game that started it all, Super Mario 64. So for the best world in this game, I was kind of tossing 2 worlds back and forth in my head. Bomb Battlefield and Cool Mountain. Cool Mountain comes equipped with some of the most memorable stars in the game. Stars like Little Penguin Lost, Big Penguin Race, and Snowman's Lost His Head, and has some of the best aesthetics in the game with the winter and snow vibe feeling all Christmassy and cozy. However, I think I have to go with Bomb Battlefield sheerly for the fact that it holds a massive nostalgia factor over me. Admittedly, the theme of the level is not that interesting and overall pretty basic, and none of the stars are really that difficult, but the level is just so incredibly memorable. The chain chomp that would absolutely obliterate me as a kid, all of those balls that come rolling down the mountain that you have to avoid on your way up, the pathway that's in the side of the mountain that you can teleport through to get to the top quickly, even the boss fight against King Bomb, the first 3D Mario boss fight. There's just so much going for it that just holds a special place in my heart, and it always feels so amazing being able to start a new game, jump through that very iconic first painting, hear the little jingle as you load in. It's just such a great feeling that I have to make it the best world. All right, that's enough glazing. Because what the frick were the developers thinking when they made Rainbow Ride? Rainbow Ride is just a jumble of incoherent platforms and polygons scattered throughout the sky. 1 second, you're flying through the sky on a giant flying pirate ship with wings and strong gusts of wind. The next second, you're in some giant floating castle out of nowhere. But the worst part by far is the main gimmick of the whole world. You have to ride the world's tiniest rectangle at the most obnoxiously slow pace. Oh, and it's not just for 1 or 2 stars. You have to ride this thing for every single star. For all 7 stars, you're forced to ride the first auto-scrolling level in all of 3D Mario. I am so glad they made that one because we all know how much Mario fans love auto-scrollers. Oh, make sure you don't fall off during any of the stars, by the way, or else you will have to start the entire level from the beginning all over again. This world sucks. I'm done talking about it. We're going to the next one. So I feel like I should start off by saying that Super Mario Sunshine is probably my least favorite of the 3D Mario series. Something about it has just never really vibed right with me. And while I don't have any glaring issues with it, there's not really anything that jumps out and is super interesting to me either. And while I believe that most of the worlds in Super Mario Sunshine are pretty meh, the same can't be said for Peanut Park. Anytime I think about Super Mario Sunshine, I think about Peanut Park, and more specifically, the Mecha Bowser fight. There, you ride around on a roller coaster, shooting rockets at Mecha Bowser until you eventually make him explode. In my opinion, it is easily one of the coolest boss fights in all of Mario. And when you take the boss fight and you mix it with the scenery of the amusement park, I think it's fair to say that this world takes the first place spot for me by a pretty wide margin. Like I said earlier, there aren't really any worlds that stand out as worse than the rest, so I'm not really sure which one to choose here. Because of that, I kind of took some creative liberties and elected to go with the only objectively right choice. Screw the pinball level and everyone that designed it. Come on, what were they thinking when they drew this up? You hop in this little slot becoming the pinball, and then you just get shot up into the pinball table. From there, you have to navigate the board until you collect all of the red coins, and from there, a shine sprite will spawn directly in the middle of the board. Doesn't sound too bad, until you take into account the fact that if you miss any red coin slot at any point, you fall in the void and have to begin all over again. And it's not helped by the fact that navigating the board can be an absolute nightmare. Even being shot out from the very beginning can be very difficult to deal with, considering you get shot out at the speed of light. Not to mention, there are these tiny pegs all over the place that if Mario hits them, he can get bumped off out of the way of where he's trying to go. And the final slot where the shine appears was designed by Satan himself. The gap to enter the slot is way too small, and the walls to the entrance slope down and away from the shine, causing you to just slide off and out down towards the void. This level is the bane of my existence. Super Mario Galaxy is my all-time favorite game. The memories I have of playing this game alongside my dad down in my basement are just some of the best memories that I have from my childhood. And due to my totally complete bias of this game, it easily has the best Bowser boss fight out of any Mario game ever. Because of that, Bowser's Galaxy Reactor is by far and away my favorite world in this game. While the build up to the boss fight is pretty standard and just offers a bit more of a challenge than the rest of the Mario Galaxies so far, the Bowser fight easily skyrockets this galaxy to the top. You battle Bowser while jumping around from planet to planet until eventually you're duking it out in the middle of a sun. Upon defeat, you blast Bowser into the sun, grab the girl, and fly away into the universe while Bowser's galaxy crumbles around him. Not to mention that the music to this boss fight is absolutely legendary and makes you feel like the coolest Italian plumber in the universe. And now let me toss my nostalgia away from Mario Galaxy for a second and say screw the Sling Pod Galaxy. I have to wonder what goes on through a developer's head sometimes when they make levels like this one or the pinball level in Sunshine. At first glance, the level seems pretty straightforward. Just shoot yourself from one ball of gunk to another ball of gunk until you reach the end. However, whoever designed the level decided to make the balls of gunk have the tiniest and most precise hitbox out of anything I've ever seen in any game ever. I would have more success trying to colonize Mars than hitting every sling pod on the first try. It is incredibly difficult to tell if you're even lining the shot up properly, especially when you get to the longer distance shots. And once again, what seems to be a common theme, there's no checkpoint, which means if you miss one throw, you're sending Mario into the universe to float around for the rest of his life. Then just pair all that with the totally 100% accurate, perfect all the time Wii motion controls, and you have landed yourself in Nintendo hell. Alright, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but personally, I believe that Super Mario Galaxy 1 is better than Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, that doesn't mean I hate the game. In fact, far from it. I still believe that it's a great game, and I think they did an amazing job as a sequel for Super Mario Galaxy. And I also think that my pick for the best world in this game is probably a random one that nobody's gonna expect. But in my opinion, the best world in Super Mario Galaxy 2 has to be the Supermassive Galaxy. I really have no justification for this pick. I just think the gimmick of everything being really big is kind of funny. There's just something so novel about jumping around on giant question mark blocks and giant bricks, and also fighting giant Goombas and Koopas. I'm probably gonna get yelled at in the comments, but screw you. This is my list. I can do what I want. This is the first time in the video so far, I think, that I don't absolutely despise any of the levels in this game. Although there is one that I think just sits a bit lower than all the rest in my opinion. Slipsand Galaxy, while having nothing in particular that makes me hate it, is just kind of a nothing burger of a level. The sand slide that gradually gets skinnier as you go down it always gave me trouble as a kid because for some reason they made it so it got so small that Mario's big old booty didn't fit on the thing, which is honestly a pretty impressive feat. He's got a lot of cake back there. And it also probably contains one of the most forgettable 3D Mario boss fights with Squizzard. However, there was an extra bonus Daredevil star where you had to beat Squizzard, but you only had 1 HP to do it. And I remember as a kid that always made me cry because I was bad at video games. This has to be the easiest pick for the best world in the video so far. World Bowser easily has the coolest theming and level design when comparing it to the rest of the 3D Mario worlds. The carnival aesthetics with the bright lights and the amusement park atmosphere are just perfect eye candy. All of the levels in this world have the perfect balance between challenging and fun to make them interesting. When I think of Mario worlds, I think of World Bowser. It also helps that another one of my favorite Bowser boss fights is in this world where you fight Cat Bowser. For them to have gone this long without letting Bowser use any of Mario's power-ups is kind of criminal. However, they finally let it happen this game, so I guess I can let it slide. Now, welcome back to our regular scheduled programming of What the Frick Were the Devs Doing? Today's episode, why are half of the levels in World Flower a nightmare to complete? This one's more of a personal gripe for me because I've been trying to 100% Super Mario 3D World, and World Flower has caused me to age 50 years, have 2 heart attacks, and move into a nursing home all at the age of 21. While completing the levels aren't really that difficult, trying to 100% the levels is absolute agony. Whether it be a stupidly hard green star, an impossible flagpole, or some other stupid gimmick that makes these totally unfair. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with challenging a game, but when I'm pulling my hair out and polishing my newly bald head, there's a problem. While Bowser's Fury was pretty cool being the first fully open Mario map, the different sections were kind of lacking. Sure, there was a lot to explore, but most of the areas were just kind of jumbled messes. A bunch of things just there, not really anything coherent. However, I think Mount Magmeow is probably the best example of an actually fully constructed level in that game. The volcano is shaped like a cat, which gives it a cool design, and it's got all of these different paths and tubes and tunnels and everything weaving around it. It's pretty much the only spot on the map that feels like a fully built level. The worst area in Bowser's Fury isn't really a clear choice. There's no level that's really worse than the rest. However, I guess if I had to pick one, I would probably just say the Lucky Isle. All it is a small floating island that just moves around the map with 5 different cat shines on it. There's literally nothing else to it. But it is technically considered a different area, so by default, I kind of have to say that it's the worst simply due to its total lack of content. I really don't have too much to say on this game. It's pretty small and I wasn't really a fan of the map design anyways to begin with, so. Super Mario Odyssey was the game I was looking forward to the most when it came to talking about my least and most favorite kingdoms. Honestly, Super Mario Odyssey is the whole reason I'm making this list in the first place. And when it comes to which one is the best, the answer is easily Metro Kingdom. Being able to run around the city, flinging yourself from building to building, riding around on a scooter, climbing up to the top of the giant building. Everything about this kingdom is just so fun and exciting. The music that plays while you're running and jumping around is some of the best music in a Mario game ever. Not to mention that it has some of the most fun and creative moves, like the scooter jump that you have to jump all the way off the giant building down onto the parking meter, or the guy that you have to capture and then have RC car races. Plus, the Mecha Wiggler fight is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite boss in the entire game. Just the sheer amount of detail and fun that they were able to pack into this one kingdom is awesome. Now, let me start off by saying there is not a single bad kingdom in all of Mario Odyssey. Every single one has its own charm and easily deserves to be in the game. However, with that being said, the worst spot has to go to the Lake Kingdom. Personally, I've just never really cared for that kingdom too much. It's not bad by any means, but when you compare it to the rest of the kingdoms, it just kind of feels plain and boring. Not to mention that the whole thing is practically one big water level, which doesn't really help its case too much. It also suffers from the fact that it doesn't really have any memorable big boss fights or any big plot points like the rest of the kingdoms do. All in all, not a bad kingdom, just not as good as the rest. And with that, I have chosen the best and worst worlds from every single 3D Mario game. All in all, I would say that Nintendo has done a fantastic job at world design, aside from the worlds that were designed by Satan himself. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you disagree with anything, because you probably will. My opinions kind of suck, I'm aware of that. For now though, I have a calc exam that I really need to study for, and I have been putting off, so I'm gonna go do that.